30% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once again, the support your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning. This is Friday edition of Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Football. And quickly before I introduce our guest, our regular Friday guest, I want to apologize for bringing the schedule to the program a bit behind schedule. We were experiencing some technical hits. Now we are back again, and the person with me that you'll be seeing, the Friday person, my public affairs and a public affairs analyst, and even a commentator, social commentator. His name is Majid Dahiru. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Winifred.
It's a pleasure to have you on the
Thank you very
program.
much.
Yes, viewers, we have 4 papers for review this morning on our menu, talking about leadership, newspaper, Nigeria's most influential, its sister publication, national economy, this day, and nation. We are starting off with leadership. Leadership's headline story this Friday, June 24, 2022. I can't dare Nigerians with a third term, PNB tells UK Prime Minister. I can't dare Nigerians with a third term, PNB President Muhammad Buhari tells UK Prime Minister. Rider says the last person who tried it didn't end well. Rules out another bail for Kanu. UK pledges military support against Boko Haram terrorism. The story is on page 4 on leadership. This day also has the same headline story with leadership. Let's see what this day has to say. This day says Buhari to Johnson, UK Prime Minister. No third term for me. First person who tried it didn't end well. As if they saw themselves here. The same headline story. Promises British Prime Minister he won't stay a day longer than his tenure. Says UK's help on security should start by first fixing Libya. Justifies detention of Nnamdi Kanu, argues his flight risk. Begs Nigerians to be tolerant of each other. Lays wreath at Kigali Genocide Memorial. Lost economic, political relations between Nigeria, Jamaica. I'll take this day's leading story once again. Buhari to Johnson, no third term for me. First person who tried it didn't end well. Promises British Prime Minister he won't stay a day longer than his tenure. Says UK's help on security should start by first fixing Libya. Justifies detention of Nnamdi Kanu, argues his flight risk. Begs Nigerians to be tolerant of each other. Lays wreath at Kigali Genocide Memorial. Lord's economic, political relations between Nigeria, Jamaica. That's the story on this day newspaper. And incidentally, the same story, leadership newspaper is leading with. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, the president has actually made this point over and over again that he's not going to seek a single extension beyond this 8-year time in office. And maybe he's trying to just reiterate it. Although I don't even know the conversation that might have led to this, renewed commitment
to leave office as and when
due. But simply, maybe he's trying to restate the fact that he had no intention to do otherwise and still doesn't want to do otherwise. So I think it's quite reassuring that the president is committed to the constitutional limits of his term of office. And he also made certain other revelations about Nnamdi Kanu, for example.
Yes.
That is a flight risk and that he's not going to grant him bail. Well, that ordinarily should have been left for the judicial officers to actually make that determination.
Exactly.
Because when you make such statements, it seems that the president, as a person, as an individual, is interested and has taken a position that ordinarily should be a matter of the state. And these are some of the issues that sometimes drive discontent. And I think on this, it's something he shouldn't have actually, go this far in making a statement on. I say this because if you observe quietly, there's been some relative peace in the southeast recently, some quietness about
Mm.
separate agitation because we have seen that the youths of the southeast, and for the people of the south in general, are now participating in the ongoing transition
Process,
process for
yes.
the next
We can
administration.
see it.
You can see it, and that is actually a much more reassuring, if not even legitimate substitute for separatist agitation. They want presidency to come to the southeast, and they are now rallying around somebody they think
Mm.
has what it takes
Yes.
to get that dream
Mm.
come true, and that is Mr. Peter Obi. I think the president shouldn't have reopened
No.
that one, but just
And
allowing.
just on Tuesday too, the president also wrote asking the Western world
So I think
to proscribe IPOB
IPOB,
and declare it
this
a terrorist
obsession with
organization.
IPOB
Yes,
is something that,
I was coming to that.
yes, there's this obsession with IPOB, unnecessary
Mm.
obsession really, that
There is.
is making some other people in Nigeria feel that there is a selective
Mm.
fight against terrorism because the real threat to our nation today is the
Mhm.
activities of killer headsmen that are operating across the country.
Mm.
IPOB, yes, has gone rogue, no doubt,
Mm.
but they're inflicting pains and destruction
In
in
their
their own home region.
exactly.
So it's actually a self-inflicted thing that they are doing.
Mm.
But we talk about Boko Haram, ISWAP, and killer headsmen. They are
Yes.
putting across the entire
Yes.
country, and to me, they pose a bigger threat.
The Ondo State governor even Akeredolu even said it, that they are all across the forest of the country.
They are
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Yes, welcome back. We apologize for that break in transmission because due to some circumstances beyond our control. We're back now and we are continuing that discussion on front page headline stories. With me in the studio is Majid Dahiru, a public affairs analyst. Sorry for the interruption of your Thursday.
No, I mean, it's thank God we have it under control now.
Yeah, I know that control. So we were talking sharing on
Yes,
Buhari's obsession with
with the kind one is like, we have challenges across the country, and as a president, he must be seen to be taking all of them as seriously as he's taking others. But when you show more seriousness about a particular kind of insecurity,
mm,
it begins to raise questions about your relationship with that part of the country. A lot of people have this impression that because of political differences,
mm.
the president is not so warm towards the southeast.
Yes, and since 1999 until 2015, we never had such agitation from the Southeast,
Yes,
except in this
because
administration.
each administration since 99 has done its own bit to reintegrate, to continue the program of integration of the Southeast into the Nigerian
Mm,
Federation
mm.
that was started under the Gowan
No one
administration.
administration.
You will recall, for example, that by 1979, barely 9 years after the Civil War,
Mm,
Nigeria had a vice president from the Southeast,
mm,
a speaker of the parliament from the Southeast,
mm,
a number of top government officials in the presidency from the Southeast. Juba Kadipo was political advisor to President Shehu Shagari from the Southeast. And the Shagari administration also granted state pardon to Ojukwu,
mm.
Ojukwu, the leader of the
Okay.
Biafra
Mm,
secessionist movement,
mm,
and brought him back from exile
and gave him back
the,
his other faculties.
and gave him also the NPN platform to contest for Senate. So he didn't hear of Biafra agitation in the Second Republic at all. In fact, Ojukwu himself lost an election to the late Senator Ondiwe, and because as at that time, Nigeria has reintegrated so much with the Southeast people that Ojukwu became irrelevant. So he lost election. There's no comes about that. Now, when we transited to uh, civil in 1999, the Obasanjo administration continued along that line. In fact, I also mentioned this quickly. When Bangida came into office in 1985, he appointed a Southeasterner as his vice president, military vice
Yeah,
president,
able
Ebichi
to.
Ukiwe. President Geradu appointed the first Southeasterner as IGP of police since 1966.
Noble.
Honorable President Obasanjo appointed a number of service chiefs from the Igbo-speaking area of
Mm,
South Africa, for example. While, of course, you know those around his government,
mm,
Soludo,
yes.
you know, and Ngozi,
Obia, Obia,
Obiageli,
Obiageli, yes.
Obiageli, especially, and a lot of them, they were given a sense of belonging. So
Mm,
even when myself tried to rear his head, he died. And not because Obasanjo himself applied equal action
mm,
to myself, to OPC, and to Nigeria Volunteer Force.
yes.
All of these leaders,
Mm,
all of these rebels were clapped into detention and put on trial.
mm,
So you couldn't accuse Obasanjo of taking side with OPC.
mm,
While no,
yes.
it was a balanced
It
situation.
was.
Now, if you come to the other action, like I said earlier, he appointed the Bonaya Onogo. In fact, there are a lot of things happened in that administration that reassured the Southeast people that they are part of this government, part of the country, and they loved the man. They were dedicated to the man. He gave them access to himself,
Mm,
unfettered access, and he ran a very balanced government. Look at the amnesty program he did in Nigeria Delta, called
mm,
THISDAY. Now, Jonathan was the first person to appoint a Southeasterner again as chief of staff since Ironsi.
Hejurika.
Hejurika. You see, this you can call it tokenism, but it's important to give people a sense of belonging.
Mm,
Since 2015, there is no Southeasterner that has been appointed the service chief of any of the armed services and paramilitary services. And when you ask them, they say trust. Said the president appointing who he knows.
mm,
Meaning you don't trust people from this side of the country or you don't know people from this side of the country. These are the issues. So There's a legitimate grounds for dissension, for frustration, for even agitation to succeed. What you need to do is to reconcile by showing love, accommodation, and giving that part of the country a sense of belonging. While Nnamdi Kanu and his may have gone rogue and become a terrorist organization against their own people, I had expected the president and the government to actually apply the carrot and stick approach to resolving this issue. While they are dealing with the militants in the southeast militarily, it should evolve programs and policies that brings more inclusion to the people of that region in order to win their hearts and minds. It's very important. So you cannot keep foreclosing even political solution to the Namdekani debacle. When you do that, you harden them, you drive them towards the extreme side of this conflict. So, and I think at this point it's important for a political solution to be on the table. Yes, because in every conflict, this is a conflict. It must necessarily end on the negotiation table. So we cannot foreclose even a political solution to them. They can lose a problem. Yes.
Thank you so much. Now let's see, analyze President Muhammad Buhari's speech again. He said the first person who tried it didn't end well. He's making allusion
So
to
President Olusegun
and but
Obasanjo.
Obasanjo on his own part said he never wanted a third term. That if he wanted it, he would have gotten it. So how do you reconcile
Well,
this
the
situation?
truth is, yes, Obasanjo was not directly involved in that project, but some people that were close to the president
Yes.
actually were behind it. And the president didn't come out on time to debunk it. He didn't come out to say, don't do this. He didn't come out to take a principled stand
Mm.
like Buhari is doing now. It was interesting to know that some people mooted the idea of a third term for Buhari.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I think he has
We
taken a
even saw
more
one recently who said that because of the security issues, we
issue.
can even increase
If I Senator
to
said it,
six
come back to the
months.
Senate to come and move a motion for life presence for Muhammadu Buhari,
Mm.
Senator from Bauchi, Senator Gumau.
Mm.
So I think he's taking a principled stand much more than Obasanjo did in this
Mm.
instance. You know, we've praised Obasanjo for what he did well,
Yes.
but on this, I think the president taking a principled stand
He
unambiguously
said he didn't end well. Didn't end
and
well.
saying, we have said it several. I don't want a third term. I want to go home after my tenure. So this discourages all moves towards. So this is good because it creates no doubt at all that the man is not interested and is not agreeing anybody
Mm.
to take such mission on his behalf.
Mm.
So, and yes, the attempted short term, either by subtle means, either directly or indirectly by Obasanjo administration,
Mm.
actually was the tent on that administration.
Oh, yes.
Otherwise, Obasanjo finished very strong as president.
Mm.
Unlike President Muhammad Buhari, the finished very weak. We just finished strong on all indices: economy, security, infrastructure, name it. You see, unlike what we're having today, every aspirant in 2007
Mm.
was trying to align with Obasanjo's successes.
Mm.
The entire private sector in Nigeria came together to endorse Obasanjo's successor because they felt that if he carries on with the reforms of the Obasanjo administration,
Mm.
Nigeria was better for it. That was the first time we are seeing
Mm.
the private sector coming to say we want a candidate.
Yes.
But today, all APC aspirants, before the primaries, we're talking about the problems in the country, how they're going to solve the problems, which is a direct and indirect indictment on the current administration. Even the candidate that has a mind, as well, Bola Tinubu, is talking about how to solve problems,
Mm.
meaning there are problems on ground.
Mm.
So, but because of that third term dent, yes, it diminished Obasanjo a little bit.
Yes.
So I'm sure Mr. President has learned a lesson from this and is trying not to. But the problem is his poor performance, his leadership failure in
Mm.
8 years by 2023 will actually dent his image much more than what the third term attempt did to Obasanjo. Nigerians are feeling directly the pains, the frustration of his not so impressive performance.
On Monday, this day, one of these days, leading story says that he had improved security more better than he meant it.
Yes, that was an interview. That was an
Security,
interview he
economy.
granted to the Bloomberg
Mm.
news medium, and people are wondering, is it in the same country? Honestly, these are things that ordinarily the parents wouldn't have said because it's like an assault to our sensibilities as Nigerians. We are Nigerians. We
Mm.
witnessed this country from 1999, so we know the difference between each administration. This government cannot and should not lay claim to statistics and security. Absolutely not. It should not. Nigeria today is far more insecure than any time in its history, not even during the Civil War. Today, you are only sure of going out, you are not sure of going back home. So it shouldn't talk about security. It's about the economy. It shouldn't. Nigeria is particularly on the road to Zimbabwe. If you look at the way inflation is spiraling out of control, you will know that Nigerians are living poorly. That our lot as Nigerians today have completely degenerated on all indices. Is it healthcare? Is it education? What are the educational reforms this government has brought to bear? What other vision talk about? What about third fund? What about uh, UBEC and such other innovative policies and programs and interventions for education? Now, the Jonathan administration created new universities and established Almajiri schools to take care of the out of school children problem in the northern part of this country. I still can point a finger to one of such policies that has been improved on significantly, or that was introduced by this current administration in education, for example. So we're not only at a standstill, we seem to have regressed under this administration. And so, yes, why it is good that he's talking about arbitration in Tottenham, which would have been a fundamental violation of the constitution. It's okay, but the performance is going to leave you, in not so favorable parts of history. There are no Obasanjo's attempt at Tottenham because at the end of the day, you all have vindicated Obasanjo as the best president since 1999 on all indices, on all fronts, on all considerations. Despite his attempt at Tottenham, in fact, because of the poor performance of succeeding administrations, people are now saying maybe Obasanjo was even right to have acted for Tottenham and we should have given it to him. That's the point. So when people begin to eulogize Obasanjo and wishing he had a third term, or even go back to the military era and say military was better, it tells you that the commanders are failing. And this failure is manifest, is everywhere. It's telling us in the face. We are failing it, we're part of it. And so the president must begin to reassess what really will be his real legacies beyond his refusal to make an attempt for a third term. What will be your legacies? What will you be leaving behind? I'm afraid not much. And instead of thumping his chest and making claims that are not actually realistic about his successes in economy and security, he should begin to take steps now.
There was even a report that came out immediately to counter it in one of the dailies,
Do
and
we
he
need a
gave
report? We
so
are
many
Nigerians.
indices
We
that
are
no, that
Nigerians.
Nigerians were better off before 2015
We
than
are
now.
Nigerians. What is the price of a loaf of bread today? What is the value of the naira? What is the price of PMS? How much are we paying today for air tickets,
Those were
house
the
rent,
items that we analyzed.
health care, NEPA bill? So what are we saying? And yet our wages can barely carry us from every month. That thousand minimum wage is nothing in today's Nigeria. Nothing. Nothing. So I mean, he should stop just saying some of these kind of things. Let me just finish strong. Conduct a good transition program,
At least it,
free and fair election.
that would be nice to
That
know.
would be nice. So that might just barely all things is not done right going forward. But otherwise, please, we don't want to be hearing this kind of things any longer.
Thank you so much. From leadership and this day newspaper, we are moving over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is the Nation. The Nation has a different story on its cover. Let's see what the Nation headline story is this Friday. Detained Ekweremadu wife risk 10-year jail in UK. Detained Ekweremadu wife risk 10-year jail in UK, United Kingdom. Couple arrested at airport in presence of High Commission officials. Remanded till July 7th over allegations of organ harvest orders. That was the
Yes,
story that was trending
throughout
yesterday.
yesterday. Yeah, and I I took my time because the commander is somebody I know personally, know him very well, and I know him to be a stickler for the rules. He's a lawyer,
Yes.
he's a lawmaker, and he's arguably one of the most successful lawmakers of the Fourth Republic in terms of quality legislations and the quality of projects he attracted to his district. I can tell you this without fear of contradiction. Enugu West Electoral District in Nigeria today has the highest concentration of intervention projects in terms of infrastructure than any other central district in Nigeria since 1999. So I'm going to be a very, very good legislator who has a knack for legality, as in it's like a passion for him. He believes you can solve Nigeria's problem through legal engineering and means. And so I was surprised when I heard of this. I said, how can a criminal not know better? So it was later that I now saw a letter
Oh yes, the
that he
letter also came
wrote
out.
to the High Commission,
Yes.
British High Commission in Nigeria.
Giving details.
In December of 2021,
Mm.
my daughter has a need for an organ transplant, and this person is the donor.
Mm.
This is his name.
Mm.
Please, I want you to issue him a visa, medical visa, for this purpose.
Mm.
Now, he's to undergo preliminary tests, and he stated the name of the hospital in the letter.
Mm.
And that if there are other information you require about this whole transaction, direct it to me. And this is my account statement. I'm going to put the entire bill.
Yes.
So I'm at loss as to how did a legitimate
Mm.
medical transaction that was, upon which notice was given to the High Commission in Nigeria, now turned out to be smuggling of human beings for organ harvest. Now, what I gathered from some of the sources around the man is that indeed this young man volunteered to donate. I know in Nigeria, these donations do not also come. It's a bit transactional. People
Of course it is. Yes.
but the problem is the truth is he gave his consent, and from their own records, he's 21, not 15 as alleged. And if he was 15, his passport document, another one, would have showed, and the British Commission should have alerted the senator to say, this your intending donor is underage. Does he have parental consent, or what is the situation between him? If that didn't come up, I don't know. But what I know for sure is this. The young man got to UK, and after tests were conducted, his organ didn't match that of the girl.
Yes.
And he had to return to Nigeria. He got to UK in February. He had to return to Nigeria. This is where the problem started from. He didn't want to return. And he had somebody who was now teleguiding him on how to go about not returning in order to get asylum. So he went to the police to report that he was brought to UK for the purpose of harvesting his organ, and that he was underage. That was how the UK authorities now clamped down on Senator Ike. And because, they take things very seriously.
Oh, yes, they do.
They do. Now, a lot of people have been making comments, and I'm like, no. If a criminal wanted to harvest somebody's organ, he won't go to the UK. He won't notify the High Commission that I'm going to UK to harvest organ of this person. No, he won't. He would have sought for a tourist visa or any other form of visa, not medical. He won't have alerted the. So it means he was well intentioned. Yes.
Oh, yes, it was well intentioned anyway, because you still have some high private hospitals here in Abuja
That can do it.
I even covered one that was
Exactly.
televised live in Guarimpa
Exactly.
Point Hospital. The organ was
kidney. So if you had any other ulterior motive, he could have done it in Nigeria. But maybe he had the relationship with that particular hospital. I wanted to give his daughter the best within his means. And so he said, let's go to the UK. It didn't match. The young man didn't want to leave. Just this morning, his Facebook profile was actually revealed. This young man's picture has been revealed. The name matches with the data on the passport and the information that the promoter gave to the embassy. You can see he already changed his Facebook profile to a resident of UK. And he was taking pictures in all the landmarks in the city of UK, where he was. Because there's somebody that wasn't ready to come back to Nigeria any longer.
And he's not 15 years as
He's not 15. From the picture I've seen, he couldn't have been 15. I knew when I was 15. That's why my big size.
I told him, I said, no, now I know when Pat admitted that he wasn't 15. I said, no, I thought as much, because how can a 15-year-old have such sense to go to the police to report in UK?
And a criminal knows better than pick a 15-year-old boy from the street of Lagos, homeless. Very watery, senseless story. Somebody lives in Abuja. Permanent, if you live in Abuja since 2003. I remember there was looking telling him that, if Nigeria was actually a nation in the regions, your children should be contesting for elections in Abuja by now. No longer in Enugu. because they hardly go to Lagos. So it makes no sense that a man of this level will go and kidnap a boy from Lake State of Lagos and take him to UK to go and harvest his
Let's
organ.
have their pictures.
So it doesn't really, it's not adding up at all. So, but again, it's now a source of judicial adjudication. And I'm meant to understand that the lawyers will be issuing a statement today to itemize all of these things I'm going to talk about and much more that they know about. So this is a case of a young man who
Do
simply...
you know that organ harvesting has become a global menace?
It is. It's nobody is
And
interested.
I was reading a report on it last month, and it says that China is the worst.
No, I'm saying if a Kurumadu
the world
wanted,
is turning a blind
if
eye.
a Kurumadu wanted to harvest organ, he would have gone to China or India.
That they even harvest organs of prisoners.
Yes.
Those
What is called
sentence.
organ harvesting is when you do it against the person's wish.
Yes.
Prisoners,
those on death
it's
row,
like
they
slaves.
just
People,
harvest
it's like people you, even in Nigeria, some people do it. You kidnap people, you harvest their organ.
Yes.
When somebody
There
tells,
was a report in Kano. It's a small boy. He was taken to the hospital for malaria treatment. He woke up and they are removed.
that is what is called having.
Not tonight. I don't even know.
But when somebody writes to the British High Commission in Nigeria to say this boy is coming to actually donate to my daughter, you can't. This is a simple case of a donor to a donee. It's not. I don't understand how God have it came in here. And in any case, he was tested, and it was said that he's not fit for this, and he was discharged. How does that translate to organ harvesting? He submitted himself to medical checks. Now, he walked. He wasn't kidnapped. He walked on his own by his own. He walked with his own legs, entered the aircraft. He wasn't hypnotized. He wasn't put in a crate. How does this now become harvesting of organ that has now been made as an allegation against distribution of a mother and his wife? And how do you expect a couple whose daughter is in hospital not to be there to attend to their daughter together? You now arrested the couple and charged them for organ harvesting. You see, I think that yes, maybe because the UK considers Nigeria as a fantastically corrupt country.
Oh yes.
So they look at all of us as criminals, all of us are corrupt, and once an allegation like this comes up, they go into an overdrive. So I'm hoping that by the time this case is dispensed with, Ecobank should sue the UK authorities for damages. They've done a damage to this man's career, who has been unblemished. I was he told me that he's not visited the police station before in his life for any accusation, because he has led an exemplary lifestyle. You see, sometimes we are quick to sacrifice our leaders. We think because they're important, they're all evil. No, it's not true. Some of them are there trying to do their best, and they are doing their best within the circumstance available. So this is something that Nigerians should understand. It doesn't follow, it doesn't add up. That he wrote to the embassy is enough side that he was doing a transparently normal transaction that was not illegal in any way. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written to the embassy. I would have raised the red flag myself. If, for example, you procure the visa for this boy under the guise of maybe tourism or any other thing.
It was clearly stated. Okay,
Yes.
this is the 21-year-old.
No, this picture circulated yesterday. Another picture was actually bought out from his profile, which I will share with you later. That showed that this person was already in the UK and living his life in UK. You know what I'm trying to say?
He didn't want it to come to an end.
That's what you see. It's part of the economic, people that are trying to escape the hell in Nigeria. I understand it perfectly, but it must be put in proper perspective. You don't accuse a man that go to the embassy to say, give somebody a visa for my daughter, and in the letter, the man stated that it is for the purpose of test, because organ donation is not something you do automatically. There has to be tests.
Yes, they have tests have to carry that.
Those that harvest organ don't do tests. They don't have the time for that. They don't have the patient. They do it without even you knowing. They sedate you and they do it. They steal it from you. And then they sell it in the black market. But this one is a normal medical procedure. So he's telling the High Commission, this man is to go to UK for the purpose of my daughter. If the UK has issues with the age, for example, that's okay. I suspect that the person is underage, and that maybe the visa and the passport there was a wrong information given on the passport. It's a different ballgame. Then you begin to investigate who procured passport for the boy. Did he procure it for himself and use that to pose because he wanted maybe the pecuniary benefit of donating to this man's daughter? If the man is not responsible for getting a passport that showed his age was 2015, it's not the man's fault. And in any case, the young man didn't donate at the end of the day.
He didn't.
He didn't.
He was let go.
He was let go. So what
And
is
if
now
it
the
was the
issue?
purpose of organ harvesting,
Nobody
I
will.
he wouldn't have been let go.
He
They
won't
would
have been let go.
changing
Yes.
this whether
Whether or not they will take it because
harvesting.
no, so it's really
I
it's
think the
disturbing.
UK they really went over.
They went overboard because maybe
Overboard
because he's a
because
Nigerian.
this letter is there, the official letter you wrote,
Is
even
there?
using his
He
office.
stated about the hospital.
Mm,
Nobody has want to disclaim that okay, the hospital.
Okay.
That's look at
Yeah,
it.
here's the letter.
He
Yes,
said
here's the
David
letter.
and Sonia will be at the Royal
Can you
Free
forward the
Hospital.
letter? I think.
So he said
Yes, it's it.
David and Sonia will be at the Royal
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
We're back again. Sorry for that speech. Then we are back now. And we are looking at reviewing the last paper on our menu, and that is national economy. National economy. Private depot cost of higher fuel prices. Big man. Private depot cost of higher fuel prices. Big man. No. Rising cost of doing business responsible depot owners.
This is beautifully captured. I mean, it can be better put than this. Yes, the cost of PMS, equitable price of PMS at Friday depot actually increased beyond the government threshold. I think from 140, is it 143? That's supposed to be the approved government price. They're now selling at about 165. So which makes it impossible to sell for 165 at the pump price. Now, but they're saying something which is very important that the depot owners, that the cost of doing business is responsible, and which is true. The cost of diesel is actually responsible for the high cost of PMS and transporting today. Yes, because diesel is used to power every industrial complex. It's used to truck petroleum products, and the cost of diesel has affected. It's like a ripple effect. The Nigerian manufacturing sector depends almost entirely on alternative source of power supply by diesel powered generators. So the rising cost of diesel has even affected banking operations. So people are now factoring the cost of diesel in all their services. So you see, it's an irony that the cost of diesel now affected the cost of PMS. Why? Because we lack industrial capacity, no energy security. Boils down to what we've been talking about. Economists are quick to point at diesel. They regulated diesel and it's been abundant, the supply has been there. And the question is, did you see today coming when the cost of diesel would distort the entire economy, disrupt it, and is threatening to grind it to a halt? You know, diesel is now between 700 and 800 per liter. Did you know that even banks are now rationing diesel use in their premises? In fact, the petroleum scarcity you are seeing in Abuja is because the cost of trucking diesel to Abuja has increased. So the tanker drivers are now asking government to increase the bridging cost, which is to be 17 naira per liter to 25, which was just approved, I think, last week. And so, because we have the control over diesel production, we don't. We import it. We do. And somebody said something to me. Who knows who says is a major player in the industry? That artisanal refiners in the Niger Delta used to provide most of the diesel we use in Nigeria. But now that they have been clamped down upon, there's a supply gap from that end. And so the imported ones are not able to. So the demand has actually
increased
and the supply is so.
pushing this price up.
Exactly. Now, this is what I've been saying. Artisanal miners are simply filling a gap. You can't be an oil producing state that have refineries. Until we begin to have this conversation on why states in the Niger Delta should set up refinery facilities, we will keep having this conversation for a long time to come. We're supposed to be able to refine diesel, PMS, gasoline, aviation fuel in Nigeria. The market is there, the economy is there. We need it. We need to have control over energy production and pricing to avoid this kind of catastrophe waiting to happen. It's a catastrophe. By the time the cost of diesel now start impacting negatively on the price of PMS, it means we can actually say goodbye to all of these issues.
Since February till now, the fuel queue has been
Has been
persistent.
persistent. And Lagos has now experiencing. So what we are seeing now is that information at our disposal is that there is fuel shortage. There's scarcity and there's shortage. That is, there's shortage even in Lagos. That NMPC may not have enough products. Yes. And so the private depots are the ones that have products for now. And they are selling at a price that's okay for them. So this whole conversation about subsidy at this point, I think to save us from all of this mess, this we can as well abandon this is one method of subsidy because it's not working. Subsidy was working in the past at least. We saw it was available at an affordable price. It's no longer working. And the price, the trillions of naira they claim to spend on subsidy is unreasonable. So maybe they should just save us all of this stress That's what I try to prevent. That failure, that imminent failure of having price of petrol shoot up. It's what I try to avert. So let them could just allow it to happen because they cannot avert it. So not to cause more crisis in the system. Allow it to go up. Let the next administration start thinking of ways to bring it down by doing what they're supposed to have done that these ones have not done. So at this point, let government just stop. NNPC should simply, I don't know what to do. I don't know what they should do with themselves. But I think government should at this point should stop what they call subsidy payment for now. It's not working. It's not just working. I'm saying this because if they stop it, let people go and import and distribute as they want. Stop it. Stop the licensing. Stop creating bottlenecks for people that want to import. Since you cannot provide the products, allow people to import as they want. Stop licensing people to import. Allow anybody who wants to import. Simply go to the port and check what you're bringing in and make sure that it fits the standard. I read the report somewhere that even refineries that have been built, modern refineries, are having problems of crude supply from NNPC. So, of what use is NNPC really in all of this conversation? Of what use? So, I think NNPC truly, I don't know, I'm afraid to say it because something, instead of having an NNPC that's not working, of what is happening in NNPC? Since nobody seems to be able to make it work. Simple as that. So, I think NNPC should just give way somehow. Let's deal directly with oil companies, oil multinationals. NNPC has no use. The government will deal directly with oil multinationals. NNPC should stop being a middleman that is feeding fat on the profits of oil exploration without doing anything about it. No contribution.
And I learned that even the oil companies will not be the one to provide the helicopter or what to ferry NNPC officials
they do everything.
Side
There's not NNPC is not doing anything. It's not doing anything. Unlike other state oil companies all over the world, this NNPC is not doing anything. That is supposed to be doing nothing.
And it's using the money it's generating to pay staff.
Pay itself very well first, and now declare that this is what we want to put it to CBN. That's the point. So it's of no use.
No use. We really need somebody to revitalize the system. All this comatose refinery system that we have now. We still see refineries today, they still collect money, still collect everything that is they feel is their package, yet our refineries are not working.
Yes. What is so?
Really sad.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Today. I always look forward to having you every Friday on the program. Viewers, this is what we call it today on today's program. We apologize once again for the hiccups we experienced during the program, just due to some circumstances, like I said before, beyond our control. Here's wishing you a beautiful weekend. Don't forget, security is everyone's responsibility. Stay safe. I remain Winifred. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.